Alright, on to episode 8, I think. This is a separate recording day, and I did review some of the footage so that I can better understand what was going on. And today we're going to be talking about Hannet's story. I think it's Hannet. Honnet. I don't think it really matters because the village she's from, they talk in Shakespearean language, but not just Shakespearean language, bad Shakespearean language. I think I mentioned the village in a previous episode because I was talking about how people were talking about bad voice acting in the game, and this is sort of the pinnacle of it's not that the voice actors did a bad job. They were the script, the extra some of these words I don't even think they're properly Shakespearean, Elizabethan English, I believe it would be. And having gone through English in high school in America, I read some Shakespeare, and this was worse than anything else I've read regarding Shakespeare. Other than that, though, the story for her resonates with me, as do a lot of the stories. Going off what I've written down for the few notes that I do have, her master has a habit of gambling more than he should, and having come from a family of addicts, including my old man, I get it. I get having people that you look up to be irresponsible with their spending, be it gambling or drugs or whatever. And, well, my old man, I remember when I hit the age in which I think you have to do it with like 18 or 21 to go into the casino. I can't quite remember. Either way, he was so happy that he could drag me into a casino with him, and he'd give me $20, and then he would just go off. And the thing though is that he wouldn't go off and gamble at poker or blackjack or anything that could use any remote level of skill. He'd go and lose $50 to $100 per visit into slot machines. I was it nickels or dimes at a time, just a very low increment of money. I would max out the bet so that I could get through it as fast as humanly possible, and also because I didn't just want to go over to a card table where people that are used to playing cards, I'd have to play around them, and I didn't want to the speed at which they'd be playing, I just wouldn't be comfortable with. So instead, I decided to go with just doing the slots next to him and trying to get through it as fast as humanly possible, and just sort of sit there staring at him until he either ran out of money or he could feel enough shame welling up in his body to stop just just the sheer quantity of time he would spend. And he said that it was relaxing and that the thrill of potentially winning would make him feel better. Meanwhile, he was constantly taking out payday loans and the like, and it was just not great. I would have preferred him go fishing, and I hate fishing. He would also drag me fishing, and I would just. I'm not bad at it. That's the funny thing, right? Is that I could catch fish. I would catch 3 or 4 fish each time we would go. He'd catch maybe one, and I'd be like, "Well, if you're going fishing, right? The objective is supposed to be you go catch fish." And I was like, "No, I go out here to think." And you can go out into nature and think without going fishing. I don't think you have to do that. I mean, you could just sit by the lake and take in nature's bounty and I don't know, read, uh, bird watch. That could be fun, I guess. I don't really watch bird. I mean, it's nice to see birds. When I would want to be working at the bar, I'd go into the back and just stare out at the birds that would show up to eat the maggots out of the garbage and all that, and they build little nests in the crumbling walls of the back of the bar, and it would be pretty interesting to see some of the birds that would come by. There was at least 7 different breeds, and they'd squabble. There'd be bird racism on a near daily basis during the peak bird seasons. Anyway, back to the master's gambling debt. He eventually goes off on a job, and she tells don't go gambling and all that, and even tells his friend who set the job up for him, some paladin of sorts, art of the ardent, ardente. I looked up what ardent meant, and I think it was like joyous or something, boisterous. So just like super duper happy knights that go around. You also saw them the in Ophelia's story, because I think they're based out of there or something. I don't know if they're from there or if there's just a bunch of them there. They might work for the holy fire, the holy flame stuff. But either way, it's just something that caught my eye, having come from a family that loved all sorts of just vices that were just overly expensive. That's the thing, right? Is alcoholism's pretty expensive. Pack a day is pretty expensive. I remember setting my family down to do the math of how expensive smoking was every single day, and at us about it was $7 a pack back then, and 3 or 4 pack a day smokers. That's a lot of money. And overall, it was a lot, and I got laughed at because I was trying to point out the expenditures, and I was using Monopoly money, and that's the thing that they focused on, not the fact that they were altogether, from everything combined, it was over $10,000 a year, which with that money they could have paid for the roof to have not holes the size of children in because it was rotting, and they'd still have $2,000 left over to do whatever they wanted with. Thankfully, at least, I've heard that my uncle has stayed sober for the most part, I believe. I don't think he's drunk much in the last 5 to 10 years or so. So that's good on him. And he's tried to stop smoking. I don't know if he's stopped smoking since then, but yeah, it's another bad habit he should quit. His weed is less of an issue now that it's cheaper to buy uh, THC products, be they I think he prefers the pre-rolls generally. He would sometimes get, half an ounce or whatever. He also used to work in a facility for packaging and making edibles and such, and that was a good job for him. But he has he has, I think it's actually, I think both his legs are fucked by now. But one of his legs has a metal rod in it from his previous work as a groundskeeper for a golf course. And altogether, yeah, he's made improvements over time, and that's always good. One time he was in the paper even. They were asking people their New Year's resolutions, and his was to stop smoking. I believe this was back when my middle cousin was born, but I can't quite remember. That would be around 16 years ago now. That's a while. Not quite sure if that was the one, but yeah, good on him for trying and at least no longer drinking. So, having grown up surrounded by addicts, it's always interesting to see how protagonists and the like handle the addicts in their life, because there's always the wonder if you're being too harsh on them while they're alive and still around for you to try and convince them to stop their activities. But then the day you can't really stop them using. Sometimes people just don't listen to reason. Uh, what kindness you used to show to them is taken advantage of. My old man, by the time that he died, he owed me, I want to say it was over $2,500. And yeah, near the end, it was pretty much just I knew that if he was going to be borrowing money from me, it was probably going to get more pills. He would say it's for gas and to feed the animals and such, but if he wasn't storing Adderall, he'd have the money for those things. And he also had a truck that he wasn't quite able to take care of. He bought it off that one friend whose mother helped with getting him cremated eventually. And so that's sort of that's it all really comes together when you really think about it, you know? It's just sort of wild how it's all connected there. I tried to turn down the level of recording that I have because I noticed that I've been peaking a lot, and I tried raising up the recording level a bit, and also the heater came on, so I tried to have a little bit of an empty spot there so I can take the sample of the audio. And yeah, it's all just behind the scenes stuff that a lot of people don't know about, but it's always interesting to me to learn more about how things are made. My old man, he hated behind the scenes bits in movies and all that. I would watch them. I'd listen to after watching the movie. I'd go through the special features and all that, the director's commentary. Because not just you also you learn all these fun facts. You also just sometimes there's just extra jokes in there, and it's always nice to see. It's nice to hear as much as I can about the production of something, learning how it's made. I've always wanted to work on different things. As I said before, my life's work has been keeping people alive, but I've also had passions for creative pursuits. I've painted, I've written some, nothing truly published though. I've tried a bunch of Let's Plays, technical issues abound though, and just overall couldn't find a good format for how I best operate. And this, you know, this all kind of ties into the second point that I had. I've already spoken about the third one, the fact that they speak like they're from old-timey Shakespeare, but poorly, or at least extremely exaggerated. And it's the position of being the responsible one to somebody that you look up to. And I don't believe there was a singular adult in my life growing up that I didn't, excluding things like teachers and clerks at stores and all that stuff, the kind of people, or even then, sometimes. But I generally didn't have any older adults to look up to that I could trust and knew that their judgment was well placed and that I didn't have to second guess everything they said, that I didn't have to look up things that they said, that I could just take them for at their take their words at face value. I've always had to just sort of parent them. I've had to educate myself. I've had to understand the world in ways that children never should have had to. And that sort of reflects even to my adult life in the work that I've done in keeping people alive and just generally helping people with their lives. I've thought about becoming a, what's the term for it? Life counselor? The sort of person that helps you get your shit together in exchange for money. Because I've helped people turn their lives around in ways that they never expected to happen in their have you reunited a few families before, a few people? Because people are salvageable in most cases. They just need the care and attention that they haven't gotten elsewhere. But then again, that ties back to how people will take you for granted, they'll take advantage of your kindness, they'll drain you emotionally and financially and in other ways. And at the end of the day, you need to both, in addition to taking care of others, you need to learn to take care of yourself. And Hannett is a good example of a person who has learned to take care of themselves in a world that is largely at, no, it's a fairly kind world. The towns are they're full of decent people for the most part. It's very fantasy. You know, don't think of the whole like commoners and nobles thing. You know, don't think too much about that stuff. But anyway, I'll No, I have another thing to talk about. Her village, very beautiful, very lovely. It reminds me of late spring, early summer in Michigan. More so late spring, when it's warm enough to go around in short sleeve and shorts even, but the dryness of the summer hasn't kicked in yet. You still got all that wetness in, and it's just all the regions are beautiful in their own ways. I don't think I've seen a town yet in the game that's ugly. Even at its most destitute, it's still a feast for the eyes.